Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are watching Remstar Says So. So the WBO has recently put out a message on their Twitter and social media accounts saying that the purse bids for the Sergey Kovalev versus Anthony Yarde fight has been pushed back by a week. This is by the request of Sergey Kovalev's promoter, Kafi Duva. It says more details are to come. I don't know if Team Kovalev are going to try and get a deal over the line with Team Yarde without going to purse bids. But from what I have been told, from what I've seen in all the sources, Team Yarde were playing hardball. They offered Kovalev a 60-40 split in Yarde's favour to have the fight in the UK, and of course Kovalev turned that one down. I don't really understand why Yarde's team of Tunde Ajayi and Frank Warren would have ever thought that Sergey Kovalev would go for that fight, simply because when fights get mandated, it's usually a 75-25 split in the favour of the champion. Right now, we're in a position where a lot of people are saying that Anthony Yarde's team are going to turn this fight down, and I really just don't know what's going to happen. What's his name? Tunde Ajayi is definitely sort of adamant that he doesn't want his fighter going over to America or Russia to fight Kovalev, and the fight has to happen in the UK. Tunde Ajayi has also said that he sees this fight happening in Arsenal Stadium at the Emirates, and I'm not too sure where that comes from. Tunde Ajayi is from Peckham of South London, and Anthony Yarde is from Ilford of East London. So why would he want to hold that at the Emirates? Of all places, you would have thought maybe West Ham Stadium in Stratford would have been a more fitting location. One thing I can be sure of, though, is that I generally don't think this fight is going to happen, and if it happens, it's going to be a crazy one. Clearly there's going to be a bit more negotiations to happen, and maybe what Frank Warren and Kafi Duva are going to do is try and set this one up for a neutral sort of territory. And everybody knows Frank Warren's favourite new neutral territory is in America on ESPN under his new boss, Bob Arum and Top Rank. Frank Warren is basically Bob Arum's little bitch now, and I'm sure Bob Arum is advising Frank to do everything he can to take this fight to America so that he can put it on ESPN, and possibly on ESPN pay-per-view, if not ESPN Plus anyway. Who do I think would win this fight? It's a strange one. Anthony Yarde has looked good in his fights. Coming up, he's got 18 fights and I think 12 fights as an amateur. Sergey Kovalev, he's a seasoned sort of veteran. He's got a great amateur background, and he's fought some of the best names in the division. Obviously he lost twice to Andre Yarde, but he has beaten a lot of the good light heavyweights out there. I think if Anthony Yarde was going to win this fight, he'd have to go and knock him out. But definitely Anthony Yarde has got an advantage over Sergey Kovalev, which is youth. Sergey Kovalev has just turned 36 years old, and I believe Anthony Yarde is about 28 years old. So, you know, time will take its toll on him. How easy is it for a 36-year-old to get down to 175 pounds or less for fight nights? I don't know. But one thing we do know is that Anthony Yarde, who's a big, bulky, muscular guy, he also struggles to make that 175 pound weight limit as well. I do think that Sergey Kovalev's got the better CV or resume, however you want to say it, with a total 37 fights, 33 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw. Obviously the 2 losses to Andre Ward, and he also lost to Eldivera Alvarez and then beat him in the rematch. It is a fight I want to see. I want to see how good Anthony Yarde is. A lot of people are saying he's not ready to step up. A lot of people are saying that he's going to get ironed out or knocked out. I actually think Anthony Yarde could win this fight. I just don't think that Team Yarde believe that Anthony Yarde can win this fight, and that includes Tunde Ajayi and Frank Warren. Anthony Yarde, I believe, is ready to fight any man at any time, but Tunde Ajayi is trying to protect his investment, as is Frank Warren. If Anthony Yarde was to take a loss, his purses would go down going forwards, and he might lose some of his sponsorship deals and money and all that other good stuff that sort of comes in. It's a fight that I'm desperate to see. I don't know if it's pay-per-view ready or worthy, but I'm guessing if Frank Warren does win a purse bid, the only way to sort of justify paying the money to get Kovalev over will be to stick it on pay-per-view. It's a risky one for all parties, but if Anthony Yarde was to knock off Kovalev, his career would just go astronomically through the roof. He's already doing quite well for himself with sponsorships with Maxi Muscle and Adidas. And you can imagine if he takes up that WBO heavyweight, that WBO World Championship for the lightweight division, he's just going to be an even bigger star. Anthony Yarde is sitting in the wings to sort of join Anthony Joshua up there with superstardom. And if he can find a way to knock off Sergey Kovalev, that's definitely going to take him to where he wants to be. Anyway, guys, that's my sort of thoughts on this situation. Do you think that Sergey Kovalev can win this fight? Do you think Anthony Yarde will win this fight? Do you actually think it's going to happen? If you think it's going to happen, let me know what country and who controls it. Do you think Eddie Hearn might put in a cheeky little bid to hold it on Sky Sports and DAZN? And if Frank Warren did lose the purse bid, do you think he's going to pull his man out? Anyway, hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. That's the end of the show because Remstar says so.